Hi, so I'm Polly Buckland. I'm co-owner, co-founder of the Typeface Group. We are a B Corp communications agency and design studio based in Basingstoke, North Hampshire. And there is my team. Fundamentally, we create B2B communications for our clients and reduce digital waste at all costs, squeezing value from the work that we do by A, making sure it's strategically aligned for them, and then B, optimizing and distributing it in a really smart way. And today I want to talk about the marketing long game and how I believe that can help us get out of the feast and famine lead generation trap that we seem to be in. And to just get us all on the same page, I just wanted to share some stats with you. 85% of B2B businesses see lead generation as their most important marketing goal, and that's from the Content Marketing Institute. And on the flip side of that, a study by APSIS says that 68% of all businesses report struggling with their lead generation. So it's safe to say that the pressure's on. Why then, if it's so important to get those leads, are we not better at it? And I believe the answer is short-termism. When budgets are cut or there is extreme growth and more is expected of us as marketers or business owners for less, our focus shrinks down into that short term. And I really, and what we do in doing that is we take our focus of that long-term brand trajectory, which gives us the steady growth. And I really love this quote from Peter Drucker, which says you have to produce results in the short term, but you also have to produce results in the long term. And the long term is not just adding up short terms. So why bother talking about it now? Well, I think the B2B business landscape in general has changed, and I think it's tough out there. But also this stat that I read in Forbes has really resonated with me and a lot of my peers, which is 83% of marketers are reporting that they experience burnout, both in their professional and personal lives. So the commercial landscape's tricky, and we're all knackered. Is basically the basis for what I'm going to go into. So what's my suggestion? I think we need to avoid short-term intensity. We can do the 3-month projects or the quickly turning in an add-on to get spike of sales or interest. But the drop is painful if you've got no buffer, if you've got no foundation bringing in other steady leads. So my suggestion is that we aim for that long-term consistency. And we've seen various iterations of these diagrams many times for both personal and professional growth. And the bedrock for playing that long game for me is looking at first your marketing strategy, your mission, your position, your values, how you want to be seen, defining the transformation that you can give your clients for them using your product or service, and understanding all of that up front. Because if you don't have that, then everything that you do beyond will not land as well, and you'll be wasting time, energy, and budget. You won't get the results that you're expecting. So look at that kind of foundational work for your business. And then also look at the hygiene of the existing tasks that you're doing from a marketing perspective within your business. So don't build a website without optimizing it. That's short-termism right there. Segment your marketing list properly with like taking into account the beliefs and interests of the people you're communicating with, so that you can be really targeted when you're emailing them with your message and resonate better. You will get better results. That is long-term behavior rather than broad brushstroke communications just to stay in touch that are just going to get immediately deleted. Every email that you send has a carbon value attached to it. So just don't add to that problem. Be reserved, and be more considered in those existing ongoing tasks. So that is the basis for the long game. You will gather as we go through this, I love a framework. It helps keep me focused, and I think none more so than the 3% rule by Chet Holmes. So if you've done all that foundational work for your brand, consider this. Any one time, only 10% of your audience is ready to buy. So 3% active buyers, 7% intend to change. That's the pond that everyone's fishing in. So it's crowded. There's lots of competition. And if you have price buyers, it's a race to the bottom. It's literally who will deliver this cheapest for me. And that's a garbage place to be as a business, right? You don't want to be compromising on price, but you're backing yourself into that corner by only vying for that 10% of potential market. So to play that long-term game, I'm saying, shall we consider this middle 60%? So people that aren't quite ready yet are well positioned, or people that definitely don't have a need now may do in the future, or you may be able to switch them onto your product or service. Once you expand your mind to that 60% of possible audience opportunity, you can start to influence them and make them know, like, and trust you. So when they are ready, they will consider you. And that's where the leads and the sales start trickling in. So if you're a retailer with a very specific product, for example, a bridal product, you want people to know you and know your product before they're even engaged. So then when they do get engaged and they want to buy a product, you're front of mind for them, rather than them going in for an information search and seeing everyone that's out there in a saturated market. So how do you build that know, like, and trust with that 60% of potential audience? Here is another framework. And whether you buy into Google 7-Eleven for theory or not, fundamentally what it's saying is you need to put yourself out there. You need to be out there. You need to be consistent. You need to be front of mind. So in simple terms, take someone from not knowing you to taking someone to ready to buy from you when they have a need. They need to see 7 hours of your content across 11 interactions and over 4 different locations. And the theory is, by that point, they will be warm enough, and providing your message has resonated with them, they will be ready to buy from you. So this already sounds like a lot of work. Producing 7 hours of content. So to keep you in the room and focused, I want to share with you a couple of real customer stories from clients of ours that are playing the long game with us, so you can see kind of the fruits of the labour. So this is a B2B waste to energy client that came to us about 18 months ago. In the last 8 months, they've seen an increase in conversions of 106%. And that is cold, hard form fills on their website. They have seen an increase of organic traffic in 207%. And now 56.4% of all of those genuine inquiries come from organic traffic. They are a direct result of the content and SEO work that we have put in over time. They came to us heavily reliant on ads, with a website that wasn't producing for them and low conversion rates. And they were prepared to play the long game. And we now partner with a pay-per-click agency. We do all the organic stuff, they do the pay-per-click, and this account is so healthy and the client is over the moon. And that they, fair play to them, they invested in the long game. To give you a B2C retail example, this is taken from the last 9 months versus the 9 months prior, and we have seen an increase of 73% in organic sales, and that is through content strategy, SEO, and content creation, and being consistent and playing that long game, and that is to the tune of like £21,000 increased revenue over the last 9 months. So hopefully that shows you how fruitful the long game can be. As we move into practicalities behind getting that volume of content out there and what your process might look like. And this is based on over a decade's worth of our experience. And when I say volume, I don't mean don't just put out there. It's not a numbers game. It's got to be high quality. And for me, that all starts with content ideation. And in years gone by, traditionally, there would have to be one wise old sage in the marketing department coming up with all the ideas. And that is the falling at the first hurdle, in my opinion. Proper content ideation is easy as opening a Google sheet and engaging with your product specialists, your sales team, your senior leadership team, your technical support team, and asking them what's going on in their world, asking them what the common conversations are that they're having with clients, looking at product development or trends and chucking their ideas in the bucket. There is no wrong idea at this point. You're engaging stakeholders at the very beginning of your content creation process. What we then do is we use for ourselves and our clients, our SEO lead, to come in and qualify those content ideas in line with our strategy. So we make sure they're strategically aligned. She also looks at them with that critical eye to see how competitive we can make each piece of content. So she looks at what else is out there, what competitors are talking about, what the opportunity is to potentially rank better for a piece of content in terms of the angle that we take with it. Not all ideas get through the net, but it's a great start and it can give you a broader breadth of content to put out there. And it's human nature, right? If someone from your senior leadership team has dropped an idea into the content ideation pot and it comes to fruition, how much more likely are they to share it on their LinkedIn and their social channels? You will automatically improve advocacy and reach from your team, from your internal team, if they've been involved in that content ideation up because they're more invested. Content planning is the next part of the content creation wheel, and this is where we've always fallen down in the past. It's finding bloody time to get it done and get it booked in and get the right people writing it. We use ClickUp for that, and I think getting a process in and systemizing it will really help you not let it drop off the bottom of the to-do list because it's too difficult. Lots of people favor batch writing, just like, okay, I'm going to block out a day and I'm going to write. I'm going to get in the headspace for it and I'm going to get a few blogs out and then schedule them up. Content creation, that's where the magic happens. I could do a whole talk on how you can use AI to support your content creation without forsaking your identity, your personality, and your self-respect as marketers. But I will leave that there. That's for another day. Content promotion and distribution I'll go on to, and content monitoring is a vital part of this. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. It might be that you have relevant content already published that just needs to be updated and republished today's date. Just because it was a 2018 blog doesn't mean it's not still relevant. In fact, that's got link juice, that's got kind of longevity and authority. So update it and republish it, and so on. So how do we get things off of your plate? We're talking about producing a load more content. As marketers, we can't forget the 83% of us that are burnt out. And this channel matrix can really help. This channel matrix also allows you to have those commercial discussions internally with leadership that might want to be pulling you in one direction. And this will help you illustrate your way of thinking. So the bottom axis is the activity's effectiveness in generating leads, and the vertical axis is how much budget you have to spend. This is literally, you can do this on the back of a napkin, and I think it's a really valuable exercise. So you start to plot your channels for their effectiveness in generating leads and the budget that you have to spend. So when your budget's cut and you're like, oh, I've gone from this to this, where am I going to put my energy? The answer is not in the red zone. You need to be looking at your bottom right quadrant of work and activity that brings in leads, that preserves your budget. So there are loads of businesses that we speak to, like, oh no, we don't write content. We do 12 events a year to the tune of 500 grand. And when you look at the return on investment, rather than doing what you've always done, if you get your conversion set up properly and you have that relationship with your sales team, whereby you understand where the leads are coming from, you can do this exercise and make sure you're putting your budget in the most effective place, and your time and energy as marketers, right? This spread, this is just an example spread. That's a lot of work to be delivering. Another way that you can preserve your sanity and be effective and productive in creating enough content to generate that 7-11-4 to that 60% of potential audience is recycling and upcycling your content. So I'm going to give you a real life example to just try and switch your brain on to squeezing as much value out of the content you create as possible. So this talk started as a blog. I did a talk last week in Portsmouth, and I'm doing one today. We will also re-record this and put it out there as a webinar, which will then be uploaded to YouTube and embedded on our website on that original blog to enrich that page. I record my rehearsals for things like this. So there's blooper reel, which is funny to show on TikTok, but also I can carve this down into snippets to share on TikTok. An amalgamation of all of the above will end up on LinkedIn, and some of this will make up training modules for future training that we're going to put on as a business. And actually also I'm going to email this to the relevant segments, to the marketing managers that are in our database. So that's how I'm squeezing. You have the content ideation, someone has a killer idea, it gets written into a blog, and then you've got streams of content and communications that can come out the other end of it. So to summarize, if we want to keep it simple, if you put 40% of your time, energy, budget, resource into that foundation work to make sure that you're saying the right things to the right people that represent your business now, not what it was 5 years ago, 30% of your time on creating that actual content, getting the ideas flowing, and really, really developing those ideas and those pieces of communication, and then 30% distributing and recycling it. There's someone that I saw on LinkedIn the other day that actually said, for every hour you spend creating a piece of content, you should spend an hour distributing it. So the big thing for us as a B Corp is impact reports. Impact reports can take weeks to put together, into like gathering your data, writing your narrative, designing the report. When it gets shared once on LinkedIn, it is so wasteful, and there is so much more, if you think back to the recycling slide, that you can do with your content. White papers as well, hours and hours and weeks and tens of thousands of pounds worth of budget for a couple of LinkedIn shares is not good enough. So distributing and recycling is really, really important. It also means you won't get in your own way by just creating more and more and more of the same, of thin content, which Google doesn't like, so you'll get penalized for. The planet doesn't like. The internet counts for 2% of all global emissions. So this is not a volume pump out the content talk. This is a let's work really, really smart, and let's preserve our energy as marketers, and our integrity. So what would the hoped outcome be? Obviously, we've seen the real life case study, so revenue would be great. But if we can flatten that lead gen curve, it will make us as marketers more focused. If you think to the channel matrix, we'll know where we need to be spending our time and energy. We would have done our strategy, and we'll have our vision and our mission and our values and our positioning and our messaging statements up front. So it's all at our fingertips. It will mean that we can resource our own activities better, smoothing out the peaks and troughs of demand and signing more budget to these activities with confidence. And it will give us clarity and sanity. We will be able to track trends better, we can forecast more accurately, and we can bring down that 83% burnout stat. So you might want to watch this back because I know there's a lot of information, a lot of frameworks in there, but I just want to say thank you for listening. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Polly Buckland, or you can come over to the typefacegroup.co.uk and have a look a bit more about what we do. Thank you very much for listening.